I think we're live on Facebook.
Excellent.
Hello there. How are you?
Good sign. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
Wonderful and fabulous. And thank you so much for being on the Glow show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, everybody in audience, this is Miss Courtney. She's going to spend a couple minutes with us today and tell us a little bit about herself and where she's come from and some of her challenges and obstacles to get her to where she's at right now and the impact that she's looking to make in the world and possibly leave you with a gold nugget of wisdom, inspiration, and knowledge.
Absolutely. I guess I'll start by just sharing a little bit about myself. Um,
Please.
I am a corporate wellness provider, a mindset coach, and a yoga and meditation teacher. So, my roots in all of that are yoga and meditation. And I first started with yoga when I was having some personal health challenges. I was in a place where I needed to make a decision about my health after receiving a diagnosis of a chronic genetic illness.
Hmm.
And knowing that I had this chronic illness for my entire life led me to realize I could either choose to stay in a place where I was dealing with a lot of health issues as they came up. I was having some pain episodes, some digestive issues, and really felt like I was not so much in control of my own health and my own life. Or I could make this choice to take back my control and my power and learn how to work with my condition. And I made that commitment to learn as much as I could about health and adopt a healthier lifestyle so that I could have some more control over my health and know that I was being as healthy as I could, even if some other health issues were to come up and maybe symptoms could flare up or, what have you. I was doing my best to live a healthy life. So I decided to start yoga as a means to have some low impact exercise. And yoga helped me to build my physical strength. I became stronger in my own body, starting from a place of low health and strength. I was not a super athletic child or anything like that. But I built my physical strength and flexibility. And yoga quickly became a deeper practice for me, with helping me address some mental and emotional issues as well. I was able to take back control of my thoughts and step away from a lot of automatic patterns that weren't very helpful or healthy in my life.
Hmm.
So, bringing back my own awareness and kind of reconnecting with myself was really transformational in my own wellness journey. I eventually went on to take some training courses for yoga and meditation and decided that I needed to share these tools with the world. I saw the impact that they were having in my own life and my own healing journey, both physically and mentally. And I just felt like people needed to know about this. It was the type of thing that I always wished I had learned in school and didn't. But as adults, we have that capability to learn the things we didn't learn in school. And so now a big part of the work I do is helping employees when my corporate wellness and women in my mindset work learn how to work with their mind and emotions, some of those patterns that might be deeply ingrained that affect how we manage stress or how we see ourselves or how we are in relationships to people.
Wow. Yeah, on my journey, there's things that I've picked up and practices that I've started that have been beneficial to me. And I often think, why don't other people that really should be, I see them walking down the street or wherever in life, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on in their world that they wouldn't be seeking to be healthier, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever it is. why are people just complacent, stuck, whatever you want to call it, to where it takes a chronic something or other to kind of wake them up a little bit.
Right, sure. Yeah, I see some of that too. And I think a lot of times it's maybe just not knowing what the tools are. And sometimes it's also a matter of having the support and accountability so that when things get tough, there's a place to go and get that help instead of maybe falling back to our old patterns that could be unhealthy or destructive or negative in some form. So those patterns can be really hard to break. And I think having some structure and support around that is really helpful.
Yeah, and for myself, if you'd have told me, 5 years ago, oh, let's do some yoga so you're healthier, the paradigms in my mind as a guy, as whatever, I'll be like, I don't want to do yoga, come on. But now I regularly stretch and do yoga poses. I might not be doing yoga per se, going to the class, but I definitely implemented, different things into my life.
Absolutely. And, that brings up a couple things for me too. One is that all yoga really requires is the ability to breathe. So we
Mm.
think it's, getting into some fancy shapes and being able to balance on one hand and, whatever pictures we might see about yoga. But if we can breathe, we can do yoga. All the movements can be adjusted and modified to fit what we need at any given time. And that was actually a really big part of my personal practice when I was starting at a place of poor health, is that I could choose classes for what I needed. If I had some energy, I could move a bit more, but I could choose more restorative and relaxing classes when I needed that type of style as well. So there's a real power to starting where you are and really recognizing where you are in that present moment. And from there, you can go to what you need. But if you're fighting against where you currently are because you want to be someplace else, then you're already creating some internal struggle and not able to adequately move forward because you're trying to be in that other place still.
Isn't it interesting how we can get ourselves so twisted up and knotted up, and
Hmm.
and coming from a place where I'm at now, and I see people with the drama, the worry, the fear, that knot, uh, or I talk a lot about being clean and clear, both inside internally and in the world around you. And
Hmm.
yeah, we continue to just operate and live in that cluttered life, when really you can clean house and
Yeah, kind of remake whatever you want to from that.
and
Another part of yoga is that yoga isn't only the movement, but yoga has some larger principles that can be applied to how we live. There's some guidance about how we are with ourselves, how we are in relation to other people. And all of these principles can really help us manage stress, manage the thoughts in our mind, and all of our emotional fluctuations, especially the things that are happening in the world lately. So there's a lot of power in learning how to recognize what's going on and then kind of shift and adjust to what you need or what you want to create for yourself instead of just resigning to stay in a place of being stuck.
yes, the gratitude exercise is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Just being grateful for my eyesight and your senses. I rock climb, and so recently my buddy and we've met a lady at the gym, at the rock climbing gym, and she's from South Africa. She's a Paralympic, and I'm gonna have her on the show here at some point.
Mm.
But she's missing a whole leg, and she's climbing these incredible routes, and it's just pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah, gratitude is amazing to shift our mind out of some of those negative patterns and what might be going wrong. And we can get really caught up in our own heads about that. But when we recognize that there's so much that we have right now, even in the midst of a problem or a difficult situation, You might have safety in your house. You might have, warmth if it's cold in wintertime.
Hmm.
There's just so many simple things that we can slow down and acknowledge to help bring us out of that worry, stress, anxiety mode.
So I do some camping, and I've spent some days in the woods, and to come home to indoor plumbing, right, you're like warm water and indoor plumbing, you just pull the nozzle or whatever, and so yes, we have a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah. And in those moments of, maybe being cold at night, if you remember back to having warm running water, those little shifts can, signal some positive brain chemicals and make those somewhat challenging situations a little bit more easier to manage.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what have you been up to lately? What are some of the projects, and what are some of the things you're working on now?
Yeah, so currently I'm working on two big projects. One is my corporate wellness program, where I customize virtual wellness programs for companies to help their employees manage stress and be able to work productively, even if they are working from home.
Hmm.
And, trying to stay productive at home has been a real big challenge for a lot of workers, especially people who might be managing virtual school and childcare. And just there's a lot more going on at home these days. So it's really great that companies are valuing wellness and seeing the benefit of supporting their employees this way so that employees can still take that little bit of time during the day to do a little bit of self-care. And it's actually helping the companies as well too. So employees are able to work better and more efficiently, but they're also taking less time off and reducing healthcare costs by spending a little bit of time to address their own health needs and manage their stress.
Yeah, in a previous position, I was going to say previous life, but in a previous position, I was the branch manager of this company, and I always looked to make sure my employees were good mentally, physically, spiritually, because I know that if they're good at home, they're good at the work, and their offices should be secondary to all those things that I previously mentioned. And so
Absolutely.
I've had conversations with some people that are working from home, and they're actually saying that they are more productive, and because they're working later, they're checking their emails at 8 o'clock at night before they go to bed. And it's that boundary that they have yet to establish. And so they're finding themselves to be, way more involved in their work by being at home.
Right. That's interesting too, because a lot of companies at the beginning of the pandemic ended up laying off some of their workers when we were in that period of real uncertainty and we didn't know what was happening. And now a lot of their workers are still carrying some extra heavy workloads. So
Mm.
people are even seeing that they have to work longer to maybe keep up with more going on at work. And it's also causing some burnout for people. I know women, especially, have been hit hard with burnout in between just managing work, but also, children, home responsibilities, maybe taking care of other family members who are sick or recovering. And there's just a lot happening. So, that kind of leads to the other project I'm working on is supporting women through this burnout period, helping women to build that resilience and feel more empowered, taking charge again of their own life and building back the confidence, kind of reducing the imposter syndrome where they might feel like they're just not good enough at their own life anymore. And trying to help women find a better balance so that they don't feel like they have to sacrifice themselves or their own health for work or for their family or for others.
I want to give a huge shout out to all the single moms out there that are in business or doing their business, have a career. Some of my partners are single moms, and I just give them such kudos for what they do to juggle a business, to juggle the kids, to make sure they're here and there, and to still be on that Zoom call when they need to be. So huge shout out to all the moms out there for doing such a great job.
Absolutely. And, just to know that self-care doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of times we might think we need several hours or a whole day to do something for ourselves. And if we have that, that's great. But self-care can be as simple as, taking a 5-minute walk outside, or spending 5 minutes with your cup of tea and really just drinking your tea and being there in the moment. Simple breathing where like a deep breathing practice, taking breaths in to send the air all the way down to your belly is really positive, deep belly breathing. It's great for your nervous system and reducing the stress response in the body. So
Yeah.
even spending a minute or two breathing is self-care. And a lot of times those short little things we can do get overlooked.
A moment of vulnerability here. There's times where, in situations where I'll feel the anxiety coming on, and I'll just take 2 or 3 deep breaths, and in doing so, I fill my body with that oxygen that it needs, and whatever the whole make whatever it's doing. I don't know. I'm not that scientist, but yeah, I know it works, and I when I feel it coming on, I know what to do. And one of the other things that, besides my stretching, is meditation, right?
Mm.
There's been times recently where I can actually feel the energy or the tension in the energy, and I'll do a meditation, and that I don't want to say negative, but that heavy energy is dissipated, and I get to clean and clear the system.
Absolutely. Yeah, meditation is a real powerful tool to help us get refocused, more centered and grounded in the moment instead of maybe going into those loops of anxiety and worry about what will happen later. And, if I can share, there's a short little kind of a breathing practice that can be helpful. Is when we breathe in, we can think about taking in whatever we might need in the moment.
Mm.
So if we need that peace, that calm, maybe that connection, that support, and then breathing out to let go of what we don't need, letting go of the worry, the stress, the fear about the future, any, fear of judgment, anything that we don't need can be released with that exhale. And so even if somebody doesn't have access to a meditation in the moment, that's something that, you can do anytime, anywhere. Nobody needs to know that you're doing it, but you can just take a moment with yourself and tune in and reconnect. What do I need and what do I need to let go of?
Yes. Even for myself, it's interesting. I want to say it was yesterday or today, but the thoughts of, doing something and the judgment coming with it, I'm like, ooh, and being on the podcast, doing things live, you really get kind of, I don't want to say numb, but you really get to a point where you're like, it is what it is, and we're just going to have fun and enjoy the ride. And I was thinking about doing this, and the feeling, I felt it, that feeling of judgment came along, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's right. We don't want that. So.
Right. That's one thing I've noticed during this time is that people seem to be a bit more accepting of whatever somebody's conditions are. So, even if there is that worry or, the environment isn't exactly perfect, we know that we're all just kind of making do. And I feel like maybe knowing that there's some wider acceptance out there can help ease some of that tension and fear too, where we're all kind of going through a similar unusual time, and there's a bit more forgiveness and grace, I think, on all ends, hopefully.
Yes, yes, the world needs more of that for sure. So tell us,
Absolutely.
what kind of impact are you making in the world today? What are you looking to do, and what's going on in your world?
Yeah, well, I'm looking to share these tools through corporate wellness, through my virtual wellness programs, to help employees make it through the workday better so that they feel happier and healthier and aren't just sacrificing their health for work. And then, I'm also looking to really support women through my mindset coaching so that women don't feel trapped in this burnout state. They don't feel limited by their imposter syndrome and confidence and mindset, but instead have those tools to be more resilient, to be stronger within themselves. And from there, they can have the impact that they want on the world, whether that's within their families or their community, or, just going on to reach their bigger dreams.
So this is, there's something that has prompted me. I don't know why. I don't normally ask this, but if you would care to give us two things about you that are personal, right? Tell me something about you personally.
Personally, well, I live out in the country. I like to go for nature walks when there's not 2 feet of snow like we got today. Spring and summer are my favorites, but I'm not much of a winter girl. But I like to garden outside during the nice weather. And I like baking and cooking.
Cool.
I feel like pandemic life has shifted a lot of our traditional hobbies and the things we used to do, but yeah.
That's
Uh,
great. Yeah, don't feel like you need to come up with anything there. That's awesome. Thank you. You know, you say for me, you say, "Oh, I'm from New York," and I automatically go to, Manhattan and the sky rises, high rises, and sitting here on Zoom with you, I see you in your room. I have no clue that you're out in the country, right? Or
yeah,
that you have a garden. And that really just, I mean, it's crazy how what our perceptions are and what our judgments are. And and here I am thinking, oh, she's from New York. She's sitting in a condo, in this high rise, and you're out in the woods and having a garden, and I love it.
yeah, that's so interesting because just this afternoon I was preparing for an event that I'm leading on burnout in the next few days. And part of that is looking at our patterns and our conditioning and the things that go into that, and then examining those patterns and trying to look at, is this actually true for me? Do I really believe this? Or could I be open to other ways in certain areas of my life? And I think a lot of times we come with some of those preconceived notions and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm guilty, right? Here I am, the speaker, teacher, coach, mindset guy, and talking about judgment and making assumptions, and there's everybody has room for improvement.
That just makes you human.
Yes.
Human in our society, anyway.
Yes, that's awesome. So how can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. My website, CourtneyJohannesen.com. I have a Facebook group for women building resilience and empowerment called Resilient and Empowered Women. And I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram with my full name, Courtney Johannesen.
Wow, that's awesome. I so appreciate you jumping on today, spending some time with us, telling us your story, giving us some insight, some good tools to use. I highly recommend people reach out to you if they're feeling any of these, 2020 left over into 2021s or whatever it is. Uh, Go looking. If you know you need something, go looking for it and it will come and you'll find it. So, Miss Courtney, you've been awesome and a treasure. Thank you so much to the Glow family.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.